Welcome, everybody, to The Common Theory, where we talk about competitive pauper EDH. You can find us on Patreon and Discord, and I'll kick it off with the guys. How was your weekend? I know we had a lot of stuff happened, especially on Saturday.
Yeah, so Friday was a very fun day with CrowdStrike killing every single fucking Windows machine in the world, and me working in IT, I had to go support it. I was pretty much voluntold to go work an overnight shift.
There was a little irony with that, right? You were supposed to come over to my house so we could jam Pauper all night to prep for the tournament on Saturday. And then
but we ended up playing CDH.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have enough time because you had to go to work. So...
No, I even though this is going to be public, I made sure that I was going to go in after I came back from that. So it's fine. Yeah, I had my laptop, so if anything happened, we can still do it. Yeah,
you came over for, you're typically here at my place at 3 a.m. This was 10:30 at night. Pack up. Time to go.
Are you guys close to each other in the city? Are you also? Because I know, Chris, you're in southern Miami, right? You're south of Miami.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes from each other.
Yeah, so I originally thought I was going to be there a little bit longer, but with the whole stupid issue that happened, I had to leave a lot earlier, and then I had to stay up until 8 in the morning. And I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I can go to sleep. I'll find some time to go to sleep before the tournament. And then my wife wakes up to go do her nails because she had a nails appointment. I was like, all right, fuck it, whatever. I'll have a 4-hour window where I can go take a nap. When it comes to when it hits noon, I go to my bed, close the blinds, still way too bright and sunny. So I'm like, okay, I can't fall asleep. This sucks. I'm just going to go downstairs, go eat lunch, eggs and bacon, go have breakfast food, just pack up on a whole bunch of protein and fats like that, and just get ready. So at least I have energy. 4 o'clock rolls around, and then that's the start of the tournament.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right. So you played this on very little sleep then? Okay.
On practically negative sleep.
What's funny is that I feel like every time I hear someone's like, I barely slept for this tournament. I was up all night, or I was drinking all night and should have drunk. They always do pretty well. What's happening there? I don't understand.
Bro, you lose your inhibitors, right? You're just full send it to the moon, right?
I'm definitely doing something wrong.
We'll do an episode on tournament prep sometime in the future. But before, for major tournaments, I would just make sure that I had a good night's sleep, had a good breakfast, make sure I do everything right, and then nothing. And then, again, work off of 0 hours of sleep. All I did was just eat well, and apparently that's good enough.
Chris, how have you been? How are you today?
Well, my birthday was, so Saturday was great. Sunday was my actual birthday after the tournament. Yay. I got sick. So, I'm sick right now. So if you guys see me sneezing and some stuff like that, I apologize. I'm going to attempt to not talk so much because it's relatively difficult without actually sneezing my brains loose. So, excluding that, I can't complain for the most part. Even with a little cold, I'm still feeling great. I'm still feeling good.
You just went a little too hard on your birthday.
Yeah.
You got a pretty good birthday gift at Wind Sanctuary. His daughter does super well at the local CEDH tournament.
Yeah, she did. My daughter did really well locally on Saturday in the CEDH event. I feel like I caught something from her coming home, not going to lie. But with that said, take us off, my bro. Hit the community with what we're talking about. I think this is going to be really enlightening, and yeah.
Yeah, so this on Saturday evening, we had Sanctuary
6.
Oh man, that's so many now. It's crazy. We've really grown. Sanctuary 6, the 6th tournament that Bobby B. Fine has put on the Sanctuary Discord server, and we had 28 people.
28.
Yeah, I believe we had 20.
This is the biggest one.
28 of us in a tournament that was 4 rounds, 4 rounds total, so 3 rounds, and then cut to top 4. And all 3 of us played in that tournament, and we had a lot of friends who were able to make it. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be listening to this. But what we're going to do is take you through basically a play-by-play, round by round of our tournament experience. And we'll just basically go through round one, and we'll each take a turn going through how it went, and then do that for each round until we get to, spoiler alert, the fourth round.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are already watching this in the future. We already know who won.
So, with that said, I won't spoil it for the one person listening who hasn't already seen it.
No, it's already spoiled in the thumbnail.
We already did it. So, do I just lead it off since we're going to go in chronological order, right? Round one?
Chris, how about it? Yeah, round one.
Yeah, kick it off with round one.
All right,
how was your round one?
My round one was actually really interesting. So I had Gut Leader, I had Third Path Iconoclast, I had me on Laylor Weaver, and then I had Val and Agent of the Shadow Thieves in C4.
I want to start off by saying I really love that Val deck. I always end up playing that deck every single event, and I'm always impressed by it, and I always enjoy seeing it.
Well, it's awkward, right? Because when you first look at the deck, you're like, ugh, it's this deck. This deck's doo-doo. But then you play against it, you're like, oh, this deck's not doo-doo. This deck's actually really good. You're like,
really good.
Oh, crap. You're like, oh, crap. This deck's actually really, really good. And then, like, I've played games against it where, like, the player that plays it just pushes win after win after win, and we're over here, like, scrambling to try to stop them from winning. And it's very...
No, they have a really good plan A with Freed, because Val just untaps and they'll go a million different ways. And if they don't find the combo, they find the other combo of Val punching you in the face.
Yeah, and that's actually legit. Val gets huge.
Yep,
it's
I
hard
agree.
to kill. And
it has indestructible, which matters a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's wildly hard to kill. Yeah.
So, but jumping back to the game, right? Like this was a very... So the Gut player made it a point, and the TPI player was kind of like, are you gonna hit me? And the answer was, by the Gut player, duh. Like, yeah, you are the only player at this table that I cannot beat if they develop a board state. So the Gut player goes immediately after the TPI. TPI is throwing interaction at the Gut player, vice versa. They're going to town on each other. And me and the Val player get to this interaction where the Val player is like, I have 2 mana untappers. One is Laylor, one is a random one, and I have the blue lay. So I have both of the Weavers are in play. So I have Laylor.
Yeah.
And I have a random land untapper. I have a few auras and whatnot. And they go for a Drown in Sorrow. And I'm like, oh. And the whole table is happy with this. Even like the Gut player's like, yeah, that's not going to hurt me that bad. And I'm like, oh. Counter. And everybody was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean why? And I ended up having some words with a few of the players. And I was just like, look, the Gut player has made it known who they're going after. And the Val player's like, yeah, but we don't want the Gut player to come after us. I was like, why not? Like, let them have their board state. They're going after TPI. They're using resources on each other. If they decide to switch targets and point it at us, so be it. But as of right now, I don't have a way to stop Third Path, so it's fine. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
So
the TPI. A quick question for you: do you know whether the TPI list you were playing against was like full on mid range, or was it a?
This is a Nat combo. So the Nat combo is actually super relevant here, right? Because the Nat combo. So this is why it's so relevant. That deck actually had a turn 5 win line in its hand, but because of the Gut player just like slugging into it, they prematurely used their Nat cards to bounce permanents of Gut. And once again, I question the TPI player when they went to, because this was the turn when I was going to win. They're like, knack. And I was like, oh, really? I assume I'm supposed to counter this. And they're like, whoa. I'm trying to balance gut. They're swinging at me with all their items. You know this. And I was like, yeah, I have things. I already protected my team once. And they're like, I won't do it. I'm like, okay. And yeah, the gut player and the TPI player fought it out. Went to the TPI player's turn. They did the thing. A few things. Passed to me. I go for a win attempt. Win attempt goes through. And I win the game. And they were like, got it. That's why you were questioning things. That's why you did what you did. That's why you said what you said. And I was like, yeah, I mean, guys, I telegraphed what I had as soon as I muddled the drown in sorrow, right? Like I told you guys what I was trying to do as soon as I drowned in sorrow, right? Because gut had, 2 skeletons making a third, right? Like TPI had 3 bodies, TPI and an act piece. Like you were the only player that had nothing. I had 2 things to this, like telegraphed to you guys that I was going to go for a line, but I never directly said it. So it was kind of one of those games where I was like, yep, this is happening. But with that said, let's move on to you, Rohan. You're round 1, bro. Let's hear yours.
Yeah. My round 1 was interesting. So we had a Ruin Crab in seat 1, which I'd never played against a Ruin Crab deck.
Ruin Crab, wow.
Ruin Crab, yeah, spicy. Then myself on Malcolm Breaches in seat 2, Death Rattle Oni in seat 3, and then Arisen Reef in seat 4. Not much was happening basically for the first 4 or 5 turns. There was a lot of ramping. Everyone was ramping up. I kept a hand with a bunch of rocks. Like a counterspell, and then
that just sounds like the fairest game in the world so far.
Yeah, because I wasn't super scared. I was able to draw my combo by turn 5. We had the Death Rattle Oni had 2 men up, and I think 4 in hand, 3 or 4 in hand. Forgot, but I figured I figured that deck just plays a ton of kill spells and
mono black, right? Yeah, mono black,
1 mana pinger type things because of Death Rattle, right? So I figured that they were making sure to keep up to every round. So that was a super telegraph. That was like a go or something.
Sounds super annoying to deal with.
Yeah. So they had something, and that's fine. I had 2 pieces of interaction in hand. I had a counterspell, and I had a Malcolm out, and I had Breaches out on turn 4. Turn 5, I played my Malcolm, and I already had a pinger out, and I had a type changer as well. I had everything that I needed at this point. I could have gone for it. But I knew Death Rattle had 1 piece of interaction, and then the Ruin Crab had all of his mana untapped with 7 in hand.
Yeah, that just means no, you're not going to be able to resolve
And I really didn't have a good read on what the deck was trying to do, because other than just mill us and maybe go for a P-Drake combo, which I'm assuming was in the deck, and it just tries to draw a bunch of cards and find Drake combo. And then everything else is just interaction. That's kind of and draw spells. That's what I'm assuming. It's like a pile of draw spell, counter spells and draw spells. And I opted not to go for the win on that turn. Was maybe a poor choice. I think I could have made a hard read and risked it for the biscuit, but I did not.
Sometimes you gotta send it, bro. You gotta send it.
I've been trying
send it to the moon.
I've been trying to play a little bit more cautiously, and when I play a deck like Dargo Kedis, that actually has worked really well for me. It's really weird, right? Like a Dargo Kedis, you think send it super hard. I play the deck cautiously, and it performs way better. And then a deck like Malcolm Breaches, when I play riskier, it performs better than when I play cautiously, which is really crazy. I don't know if that's just.
Well, you got to wait for the windows, right? Like you can't. Yeah, right. And Dargo Kedis is in play in your face. Yeah. So
and I get it. I felt like it was not exactly the right time, and I knew for a fact that if I got blown out, then I was out of the game for sure.
So long story short, do you end up winning or no?
Oh,
that match.
No, I lose this game. So the next turn basically decided the whole match, because the next turn after me was the Death Rattle player, and they had Pestilence from the get-go in hand. They played the Pestilence resolves. No one can interact with Pestilence. We have nothing to remove the enchantment, and I'm not sure if you're aware of how ridiculous Pestilence is with that particular commander, but it's
really good.
Control.
Yeah,
it's the best really card in the deck by far.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure as soon as you saw the Pestilence resolve, you were just like, I could have won.
No one had any interaction for it. I didn't have a way to counterspell an enchantment at that time.
Well, you should play more interaction.
All right. It's funny. I even played Boomerang in that deck just for like things like enchantments, but. I didn't have it. I didn't have it at the time, and it resolves, and that was basically the match. Everything just dies at instant speed, repeatedly,
forever,
and we just get melted down, forever. And Death Rattle wins on turn 9, and like from turns 5 through 9, no one has anything on the board.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was brutal. Sometimes games are it's just like really, really hard, and you live or die by these like very tiny decisions, and I think that's like a very Pauper centric thing, and I like that. I think that's really cool, actually, that it is that punishing. Could have made a harder read, played a little bit riskier and harder, and possibly could have won that.
Yeah, speaking of possibly could have won, my round 1, I punted super fucking hard, even though it's already on stream and we can all go watch it. So it was me, seat 1 on Abdel Blue, Rissa Rail, seat 2, seat 3 Alexios, and then seat 4 was Contraband.
Spicy.
Alexios.
It was spicy.
I'm so stoked to see someone bring that. I'm not quite sure the best way to build it to make it like as competitively viable as possible. I know like maybe a ton of rocks, Red has no resilience, but it's cool to actually see someone just send it with that card.
Yeah. So now that we're actually talking about Alexios, let me tell you what that Alexios player did, which I found really cool. So they managed to resolve Alexios off of just like a single rock and 2 lands, because they have this name sticker goblin in their deck. They got lucky that they rolled into 6 mana into it, which is great for them because they're able to get an Alexios out super early.
Love to see it.
Unfortunately for them, my entire game plan was dependent on them playing Alexios. Because on my opening 7, I had Stone Horn Dignitary, Cloud of Fairies, and Firewall Stone. So I was going to be able to play Abdel super, super fast and just have backup for days. I remember hearing on stream, or at least from other players telling me that me stealing was when I had the Alexios, smacking into the Rissel Rail player, and then playing Abdo immediately after in main phase 2 was like a really good play. So I didn't get to say this earlier, but I don't think that's a super big-headed minded play, because to me that feels like something all Abdel players should be able to do, because you exile all your permanents. You just remove Alexios for free.
It's funny.
Yeah, and unfortunately I was kind of hoping that Alexios was going to come back a little bit more, just so I could keep stone horning the player right before me, which was the Contraband Kingpin. So I can control them and their attacks. I have free control of Alexios without getting smacked by it again. Kill the Rissel Rail player through Alexios. And then say, all right, Alexios player, thank you so much for your service. Now here's a combo win that none of you guys can stop.
You won that game?
No, I did not. I had my...
Bro, like, I was with you. I'm following it. I'm, like, looking down. I'm, like, over here taking notes. I'm like, yo, he's whooping that ass.
He's winning.
Yeah, no, I was in control of the game.
I hear, oh, yeah, bro, you win. Nah, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so that was my whole game plan, right? And then I was like, oh, cool, I drew into step through. I can just tutor for my Archaeomancer. I have 2 blinks in hand. Unfortunately, I have to use a planar incision. So I think we're all confused though, bro.
So when do you lose? So if you're in full control of the game, you're doing the thing. Where is the when I lose part? Where are we at now?
So right now I drew into step through, tutor for the Archaeomancer, and attempt to go combo off. The Contraband Kingpin player capsizes my Abdel. I'm like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I can just set up for backup. Why did I target them with a Stonehorn ETB when the Rissel Rail player has its creatures on board that are willing to kill me? And they're about to get the...
They had lethal on you?
Yeah, they had lethal on me, and I just kind of forgot. Because, again, I'm on, like, negative hours of sleep.
You're like, I guess I'll just die.
You're like, oh, okay, I guess I just named the wrong person with Stonehorn Dignitary. It's fine, I'll figure something out. Oh, wait, I ran out of mana. I'm tapped out. I guess I die. So this is one of those things where, like, I had full control of the game. I decided to go combo off a turn early. Had I just waited a single turn and had the 2 flickers in hand and controlled the Ristle Rail player a little bit better with the Stonehorn ETBs, I probably would have won round 1 easily.
Misplays happen. I mean, we all make them. Speaking of misplays, my round 2.
Let's hear it.
So moving to round 2, this was a very interesting one. So we have good old Ankylosaur on their Viscopa Guildmage.
Easy.
There we go.
He was at
Viscopa.
he was in the cabana at the Viscopa.
Yeah, I just want to say Orzhov something. So eggs on Viscopa. Then we have Risen Reef. Yeah. Then we have me, seat 3 with Lay and Lore. And we have Gretchen. So this is actually a very interesting pod. So I'm actually going to say names. I already started with Ank. Ank, seat 1. We have Bradvac V, seat 2.
Yeah, shout outs to Brad.
Yep, shout outs to Brad. We have me, seat 3. And we have Puzzle, our old band Puzzle, seat 4. This was a pod that me and Puzzle have spoken about on the podcast essentially indefinitely.
Simic hell? Simic hell?
Long story short, to make everything easy for everybody, Puzzle on Curve lignifies my Weaver, my green Weaver, because Puzzle lignifies me, Ank Oubliettes, Puzzle's Gretchen. Like instantly, like back to back, right? And then Puzzle is immediately punished, right? Because he was just like, oh! What they didn't know was my opening hand had Echoing Truth. So I was just like, oh no. Okay. But the difference between the both of us was I already had the answer in my hand and Puzzle did not. So Puzzle was just like, crap, even if I have the freed, it doesn't matter because Puzzle has no outlet. So Puzzle needs to find the bounce to where I already had the bounce and I have the outlet already in the zone, so I'm not worried about it. So I was just like, oh no, you guys can't even attack me. And Ank only had 1 card in hand. So I was just like, he didn't really bother me. Yeah, because he used the sorcery speed removal already. And Brad was missing land drops, and it was hard because we were watching him do the thing, and his thing was not doing the thing, right? So he's just like, I don't know, guys. And it was hard to watch. And I was just like, end of turn on your turn, Brad. By the way, Echoing Truth. Put the Signify back in your hand, Puzzle. And Puzzle was just like, I'm being punished so hard for lignifying you. And I was like, bro, we've spoken about this how many times? You tell me. You know what's about to happen.
Sorcery speed interaction. Bad.
Yep. And he just goes, I hate this so much. And it was funny because Ankylosaur was just like, I was going to oubliette that Weaver, but you lignified it. So I oublietted you, right? So it was just like the perfect
scenario. Isn't Puzzle the one who always says that sorcery speed interaction is terrible?
Oh, yeah. He says this shit all the time.
Yeah, but he hasn't played in forever, so that's just him screwing up. He has to relearn his lessons.
But, it was just one of those things. We all make mistakes. Let's be honest. We all make mistakes. And he knew it, too. As soon as he did it, I made the statement to him, and he knew what I meant, right? Because we've known each other for so long at this point. I looked at him, and I was just like, that is not going to do anything to me, right? And he was like, oh, some bitch, you have it already. And I was like, I already have it. He knew it. But the table couldn't stop it at that point because I also had the cards in my hand to protect the win, but they didn't have anything to stop the win. So it just was what it was. And I win. Now here's where I'm messing up with my round 2 and my round 3. That was actually round 3, not round 2. So I will say round 2 for round Lord. 3. So let's make sure we keep that in there because I screwed up because that was not my round 2. So that was my round 3. So I wrote it down backwards on my paper. So I'm sick, guys. Cut me some slack. Not feeling the greatest, so. But yes, and let's move on to your guys' actual round 2. That was my round 3.
All right, round 2. I don't know if we're naming people, but like the Death Rattle player in my first round was Alcadron. So shouts to Alc and Brad. And a large portion of the PDH pod in my first pod, which was cool. All right, so round 2, we had Kelith Kedis on seat 1. Our good friend Lotad. Shouts
Love
to Lotad.
that deck.
I like that deck a lot.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that deck here. It is some fire. It's crazy. It's the, in my opinion, it was my favorite deck to see do its thing in the tournament. And it like did cool things that I did not expect, and I was like, my jaw was like on the floor the whole time when watching Lotad do his thing with that deck, which is it's really exciting to see. We had one more gaming Chris on in C2 from Teshar. I feel like I'm just going through like friends of the channel through like this whole tournament. Like that's who I was playing against the whole time, which was why it was such a fun tournament, I think. Myself on Kedis on C3, and then Packrat on Dragon's Rage channel, or Darcy on C4. Darcy also in Philly at Racks of Riches also performed quite well. Was in the final, in the top 4 over there. So we're seeing a little bit more Darcy. This round was over on turn 6. I think it was like 20 minutes long.
All my rounds were very fast as well.
Basically, we had Lotad with an existential threat with Kelith Kedis, taking us down to single digits by turn 4.
Yep, that lizard gets in for a lot of damage.
It's insane. It just pumps out damage, and he's like playing on curve. You know, he wasn't even playing like fast mana or anything. I know it's probably in the deck. Actually, I don't even know if it's in the deck, but
it's in the deck.
Curve
yes.
And just pumping his dudes up and swinging for the fences. Really, like at such an early, like on like turn 3, no one's doing anything because we're committing to things like mana rocks and stuff. You know,
yeah.
Like we're doing other things. Like Teshar's playing rocks. I'm playing rocks. Darcy's doing stuff, but really like trying to just mill out so that they can get delirium. We're like trying to accrue resources when Lotad's already out there putting out crazy damage well before we're even ready for it. It basically created an existential threat at the table. We had to team up to deal with it. If he swung at any one of us, we would have died, and that would have been game by turn 5 for Lotad. So we allowed the Darcy player to yeet him off the table and do 16 commander damage in one fell swoop.
Here's my question. Did that Darcy player win that match or no?
No, I did. So,
spoiler. Oh.
Yeah,
so yeeting a player off the table may not be the proper call. Is what I'm hearing.
It'll allow me to win the game. I mean, it cleared the path for me.
All right.
If they didn't do that, they were like, look, I can kill Lotad if you guys promise not to swing at me next turn. Leave me open next turn. And I was like, sure, that's fine with me. I don't need to hit anybody. My Malcolm can chill. I don't need to swing. I have enough mana. And I didn't win with combo that game at all. I put out 2 pingers, and then I eventually got a third. And I just
that's all you really need.
I'm like, look, Lotad had already got us down once again to single digits. So all I had to do is play like 3 spells. That was it. That was the game.
Oh, yeah. That totally makes sense, though.
Yeah. These guys did the work for me in that game very much, and I just held my interaction to just clear the path to let that stuff happen. I was like, yeah, you guys can do that. That's cool. I'll make sure that no one interacts with your stuff. I'll spend my counter spells protecting your stuff so that you can have at each other. And I'll just, as I'm playing these counter spells and, protecting other players' creatures, I'm also pinging.
Yeah, that Lizard Horse deck is insane. I'm scared every time I play against it.
Unreal.
That deck is super impressive.
To see it. Yeah.
With that said, Franklin.
And speaking of doing symmetrical damage.
Your round 2.
Yeah, so speaking of symmetrical damage, in my pod for round 2, we had Stein on Zada. I don't know if it's the non-combat Zada that he's been talking about. Because he didn't really attack. It was mostly Thermal Alchemist doing a butt ton of damage. It was Stein on non-combat Zada, Tony on Val, me on Abdel Blue, and Penguin Joe also on Abdel Blue. After that game, I actually talked to him for a little bit because I saw that he had High Tide in the deck, and I was like, hey, are you playing Gators, like, older version of the deck when we had High Tide and Elsewhere Flask in it? He was saying, oh, no, there was a version I had for years. I was like, interesting, because I did like the High Tide variant that Gator and I were on, but it didn't get there quite enough.
Yeah.
Like, the pieces were nice to have. Turning all of your lands into islands was super nice. Being able to just recast Abdel off of your islands was great, but we never really had a chance to deploy it in the couple games we had it with. But getting back to this game, I wasn't very well set up, actually. All I had was like a single mana rock that produced a single color. So I had Arcane Signet, an Archaeomancer. Joe looked a little bit better with 2 colorless rocks, but he was missing his Archaeomancer, missing a couple things. Stein was beating the crap out of everyone, as well as Val beating up on Stein for having the most life. So both of them were just like
beating up on everyone with combat damage, or just with pingers?
No, just the pingers. It was just straight up just like here's the Night Catapult pinger.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, here's it's like, here's a turn 2 Thermal Alchemist. You guys are just going to deal with it the entire game. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're just going to die to this. Tony on Val just, like, again, punching the crap out of Stein, keeping him in check, while slowly building up his board. It eventually got to the point where Stein was at, I believe, 12 life. Tony was on 5, I was on 2, and Joe was also on 5 life. Stein goes to storm off to win and just ping us to death. I forgot what Tony tried to do. I think he just let it resolve, because at that point there was already too many Gutter Snipe triggers on the stack. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that Stein had the Thermal Alchemist, the Night Pinger, and a Gutter Snipe on board with Zada, so he's just gonna target Zada, make a bunch of mana, draw a whole bunch of cards, storm off like that.
Yeah.
So Stein already had a whole bunch of Gutter Snipe triggers on the stack. We couldn't remove it. I go, you know what, guys? I know I'm dead on board. Here's a Cloud Shift. This is what I've been holding on in my opening hand. I'm just going to Cloud Shift Abdel, draw my whole deck, make Infinite Soldiers. After I do my Cloud Shift, Penguin Joe starts digging through their deck to try to find a way to stop Stein.
That seems so absurd, though, right? Like, let me bring this up, because you're talking about a format, right, that is very, like, you don't hear, oh, yeah, by the way, I just casually drew my deck. Like, those were your words, right? I just casually drew my whole deck. That's that's not something you. Oh yeah, by the way, bro, I was like, playing a game of CPDH, and I just drew my deck, and you're like, you did what? Like, it's just, oh yeah. He did some sequence, and I was like, fuck it, Cloud Shift. So I held my deck in my hand, and I just waited to get past to my turn. Like, that's not a normal sequence, right? I just wanted to make sure that's like known, right? That's not something that all the decks in the format could just casually do, right?
No,
like,
just
we're playing Rush of Knowledge, bro. Like, we're playing Rush of Knowledge, right? Like, 5 mana, draw a card. Oh crap! Drop my pen. Pen down. Pen down.
Yeah, no, that I just casual, like, you know what? I'm dead on board. If I somehow manage to survive, at least I have my deck in my hand, and I made Infinite Soldiers. I at least feel good in knowing that I got to do the thing today.
Question for you. At this point, you don't have infinite mana, though.
No, I only have one single rock under Abdel.
Okay.
No, so the Abdel pile, this is not on stream. Well, technically, this part of the sequencing is on stream, but I didn't show anything because... Yeah. So my Abdel pile is Arcane Signet, Archaeomancer, and Omen of the Sea. Yeah, so I get to scry 2, draw 1.
Yeah, so you get to draw your deck, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then put Cloud Shift back into my hand, and I have 1 floating white mana. Just draw through my whole deck except for 1 card, so at least I have something to draw. After I propose the Cloud Shift and put the Cloud Shift on the stack, Penguin Joe starts digging through their deck. They eventually
with Cloud Shift on the stack.
Yeah, with Cloud Shift on the stack, Penguin Joe starts going through their deck and starts digging for an out.
And they're digging by flickering their Abdel?
Yep, They flickered, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 times, but ran out because all they had is colorless mana plus whatever they had left on their lands. With that, they eventually hit Prismatic Strands, named Red, stopped Sign from being able to kill the rest of the table. Sign ends his turn to go into Tony's turn. Tony has Vow and some creature that has an 8 mana activated ability that says drain target player for 3 life, you gain 3 life. I'm going to resculpture Vow. Save me a turn. Tony ends his turn. Untap? Draw? Move to combat? This whole time I was waiting for just Stein to say, tap my 2 fingers, you die. I was like, that sequencing didn't happen? I guess everyone just dies?
Wait, so he had you at lethal?
Yeah, lethal.
Yeah, he had him at lethal, but didn't do it, is from what I'm hearing, which is potentially a play mistake, right? Because you don't know what's in an opponent's deck, so there is a instance, right, where the opponent just didn't realize, oh, they could have their own prismatic strands and kind of just forgets it. Now, this is most likely a player mistake, but a lot of these players, aren't playing games every single day. And specifically,
if anything, this is Stein.
Yeah, I mean,
this is Stein's first
swing
return.
And go to damage, and he can just ping, and his damage resolves and kills you before your damage resolves, and you just evaporate.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is the first time Stein's back from playing after literally months, over 6 months. So again, I don't blame him on this mistake, but
well, with that said,
so on
you win or lose.
I was gonna say on stream. No, I win because on stream was it in the game because you guys can't hear the game audio on the stream. They already knew they were dead because I had my whole deck in my hand. There's nothing they can really do to stop me because I have all the counters available. They still play it out. They're like, okay, Joe's gonna strands, or I'm gonna strands first to stop red damage. Tony counters it. I tap down Abdel to recast strands. And then Joe goes to strands, and then I was like, here's another counter.
Wow, so you get there. That's awesome.
Yeah, really again, awesome. Just casually make infinite soldiers, draw my whole deck.
I mean, that's so interesting, though, right? That you're able to just do that, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's not the norm, right? That's the biggest part of the whole issue. It's just not the norm, plain and simple.
Yeah, it was something I was able to do, the entire game because I had Cloud Shift in hand, just that Tony had Relic of Progenitus on board, and I was trying to figure out some sort of window to either force the activation or have Joe attempt to combo off first, and then die to the Relic, and then I went on top of it.
Well, so let's move back in time then. Let's move back in time to my round 2.
to your real round two.
Yeah,
which I know is a super stacked pod.
Yeah, so this is so we'll throw some names out there for this one as well. It's Lobert seat 1, me seat 2, Alcadron seat 3, and Chum Eric in seat 4. Long story short, Chum punishes all of us. Game ends turn 5, just easy. Eric on. Oh, I said names, not deck lists. My apologies, you guys. So we have Thraben, Watcher, seat 1, Laylor Weaver, seat 2, Death Rhino Uni, seat 3, and then we have Gretchen, seat 4. So we all lose on curve to Gretchen, and it was pretty disappointing. To make a very long story short, Lobber was just beating the crap out of me and Gretchen, and Alk was playing Drago. I was attempting to politic, did not work whatsoever because we're the SIMIC players, right? Yeah, I mulligan to a hand, and this is where it got punished, right? I mulligan to a hand that was like, haha, I'm not going to go get interaction because you guys are just going to kill everything I ever try to do, so why am I going to get interaction? I'm just going to get a hand of just go for land auras. And I did. I mulled to a hand of land auras. Eric went to win the game. I had no interaction. Mono black players tapped out. Mono white player didn't have anything and freed and won the game. And I was just like, damn, I got punished for doing what I've been doing to everybody this tournament for the exact same scenario that what I do to other people because I attempted to mulligan to the other 2 players and not the Gretchen deck. So But, it was good. Like, the other part that was really frustrating about that round 2 was Eric got paired up to us because all 3 of us were wings in round 1.
Yeah.
And Eric was a pair up. So I was just like, okay, if any of the others beat us, it doesn't matter. But if Eric wins, we're screwed. Gretchen player beats us on curve, easy game. I got, an hour hanging out downstairs after this game. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm not making the finals anymore. Like, it just got stomped, right?
Yeah.
So
Eric texted me, he's like, dude, I won in like 10 minutes.
yeah, so it was just like,
yeah,
damn.
But that's the great thing about fast. Yeah, that's the great thing about fast decks. You get to go and break early.
Yep. So lose, but going back to your round 3, you guys, Ron, what was your round 3?
So I actually have it here in front of us.
Yeah.
It's our round 3.
Oh, you guys were together. Okay. This is a good one.
At this point, we're both 1-0.
And our seat 1 opponent already had 2 wins under the belt. It's Safranel on Kutzel. Seraphiel on Kutzel. Yep. Rohan was seat 2 on Malcolm Breaches.
Yep.
Landy also on Malcolm Breaches, and then me on Abdo.
Ooh, double Malcolm pod. That's rough.
So
that's rough.
Right? You've got 3 combo decks, and you have a Kutzel.
Yeah, so you're kind of protected from the Kutzel.
Yes.
Because you're behind the Kutzel.
Exactly.
And I'm protecting, and I have some sort of protection because I'm in front of it.
What a weird game. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those. So Kutzel starts off with a turn 1 Arcbound Stinger.
Okay.
So they already start off with a modular creature. So
yeah, they were basically playing. They were playing modular creatures on curve, essentially.
Got it. So wait. This is turn 1. Turn 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the worker, not the stinger. Stinger is the 2-drop flyer. Worker is the 1 mana. 1/1.
It came down super early. I couldn't remember exactly when.
Yeah.
My early turns was just the normal Abdo.
Don't worry. Old affinity player, bro. I got you. I'm here for you. Don't worry. So, yeah, we got the worker down turn 1. Great card. Makes sense, right? Because it's a 0/0, but it gets a modular, so it automatically gets a draw. So, good card.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the Kutzel deck was drawing like crazy. I mean, it was drawing 3 to 4 cards per turn the moment Kutzel came down. The issue is that they were just, they just flooded, discarding down lands every turn. It was bad.
They were discarding down every turn.
Like 1/1s and like 2/2s, like small guys and lands and nothing else. And then myself and Lalandi, we pretty much had the same exact plays.
It was
for like almost, I want to say 4 turns. We basically had the literally same plays.
Yeah, so both of you did turn 1 Cloud Pirates.
Yeah. And then like rock, like draw and look at cards. It was the same pinger.
The same pinger too. I was drawing cards, but I wasn't drawing the flickers. I wasn't drawing the real cards I needed. Like I had all the rocks and all the draw ETBs in the world, but I didn't have a way to make it meaningful. One of the turns I just casted a Mold Drifter. I had a flicker in hand, but it's Flicker of Fate, so I can use it at least defensively. Or I could have just used it to draw all 4 cards, but I was like, I'm not in any threat of dying right now, so I'm just going to hard cast a Mold Drifter and throw Abdel on top of it. If I need to flicker it, I can because I'm not behind the Kutzel, so I can still do all the ETB, all the end of turn effects on Landy's turn, and just get full value off of it.
The one difference between me and Melendi was that I sacrificed one of my lands to Thunderclap there, Malcolm, because I figured it was like a race between the 2 of us, at least as far as like the combo decks that were going to win first. It was going to be one of the 2 of us, so I wanted to slow that down.
And you should have had a better chance because, again, being protected from any end-of-turn effects going into your turn help out. Yeah, and that entire game, I was just getting bullied by flying pirates.
Yeah, we were just swinging at both me and Lalandi were swinging at Franklin here because we're like, look, we're going to rip fun stuff that we can use off of this deck. At the very least, we can get islands.
Rough.
Rough. All you guys did was like, no, someone ripped the planes. I was like, all right, cool. That's great. You guys can use it.
Yeah, we were just farming you.
That's what Breaches does. Breaches only finds lands.
Okay. But yeah, basically what happens is on my turn 6, then I've got everything I need to kick off the non-deterministic breaches combo, which in a pod with another Malcolm Breaches and an Abdel doesn't sound too bad. For those who are unaware of how that combo works, what happens is you take a pinger, you turn it into a pirate with Malcolm and Breaches in play. Every time that pinger hits the table, you're netting one treasure for each person who gets hit by the pinger, and you're also flipping the top card off of their deck. You're exiling it, and then you can play it that turn. If you play a card that triggers the pinger, then you do it again. The problem with that combo is that once someone dies, that's one less card that you can flip, and you have to flip a card that triggers the pinger every time. So if you have a pinger that only works at a gutter snipe off of instants and sorceries, so I had to flip instants or sorceries to at least do significant damage to the table, if not kill them.
Yeah, and you're playing against two combo decks. Me being on a flicker combo, and the other
interaction-heavy combo decks. So the chances are decent, but I had to make a choice in that turn whether to basically, kind of like my game one, whether to go for it in that window or not. I would have gone for a turn before, but I didn't have great spells to trigger the combo. I had counter spells. That's all I had in hand.
Yeah.
So the only way I could trigger it was either on someone else's turn. I couldn't do it on Kutzel's turn, obviously. So on one of these guys' turns, I want to do it on my turn. And with counter spells, that means I had to counterspell my own spell. So I played an artifact, a 1-mana artifact. I counterspelled it with negate. Use that to trigger the chain and go off. But to do that, I also had to play my whole hand out. So I had to go Hellbent. And my options were, do I go for it now and go Hellbent and just pray? Or do I wait and die? Seraphiel would have swung at me, and I would have had to sacrifice one of the main parts of the combo, whether my commander or my pinger. And I knew that Landy had it. Or there was a really high chance that they had it on their turn.
Yeah, because they were still
keeping. There's also a high chance that Kunks had it on his turn because he had everything else but the Archaeomancer. So it was one of these two guys, and I made the decision to just send it.
So let's go through that whole stack because it was pretty messed up. So you go Rune Stalactite, negate, Blades, holding priority on all of those. So you have one gutter snipe trigger that will start the
Blades,
combo.
Then trigger, gutter snipe trigger. So gutter snipe trigger resolves, then Blades.
Unfortunately, on top of the Blades was, I forgot exactly which counter spell.
Yeah, what interrupted it?
The 2-mana counter spell that counters something with a mana value less than a card that you control.
Dispersal Shield.
Countering the Blades, and I had a Dispel, and I dispelled
so you
that.
started fighting for it.
Yep, and that was my hand. That was it. I was hellbent at that point, and no one else had any other interaction. So the stack resolves. My Breaches trigger resolves, and I flip 3 lands.
Oh no, there's one other thing you forgot to mention. The Blades resolves, and I was like, hey, so I know you have a new gutter snipe there. Here's the Flicker of Fate.
Oh yeah, true. You attempt a Flicker of Fate. I had a hexproof spell.
Or something like that. All I remember is that you disrupted it because you still got the pirate damage.
Yeah, and I had to use it. So I was banking on saving that to trigger the gutter snipe again, because I don't have to play that in response to something. And Franklin had the other piece of interaction, had the flicker.
Yeah, which I also didn't really want to save because, again, I wanted to use it for my own Abdel. Fortunately, Flicker of Fate lets you target any creature.
If you had any other flicker, Planar Incision also.
Planar Incision does it too.
But if it wasn't one of those two, it was something else, then I would have been in the clear. But you had that, and then I had to rely on the one trigger to maybe flip an instant or sorcery, and it just didn't do it. I actually have no regrets on that one. I felt like I played correctly there.
If you don't go for the combo, Landy will go for the combo. If Landy doesn't go for the combo, I will go for the combo.
Yeah.
Because I had 5 rocks on board, 5 lands.
Yeah.
All I'm missing is either Peregrine Drake, a Flicker, or an Archaeomancer. I just needed something.
Yeah. We all had it was like a 4-way Mexican standoff. We all had guns to each other's heads on that one, and that was the most fun game for me of the night. It was like we had to make some hard decisions, and even though I lost, I felt like I played really well.
Which means, so Gator, How'd you feel about your final round, Mr.?
Yeah, let's go. So going into round 4. So at this point, Franklin and I only have 1 win each, so we do not make the cut. All players with 2 wins. I don't think anyone had 3 wins.
No, but
we were all
there
twos.
was one player,
and then we had so there were 5 players who had 2 wins going into top 4, and so it went to breakers, unfortunately. And in the breakers in this were it came down to our opponent's win percentage. Yeah, and there was one table that went to a draw. One of those players was one of your opponents at one point.
Yeah, right before we get to Gator's final round, I'd like to say thank you to Bobby, Liam, and the commentators. Just one final thing before going to the finals. I'd like to say thank you to all of our supporters all over on Patreon, because without you guys, we can't really keep supporting this channel. So again, thank you so much for everyone thank you to everyone over there.
Last round. So let's just go with seed order. We have Kutzel, seat 1. We have Rissorel, seat 2. We have Malcolm Breaches, seat 3. And we have me, Laylor Weaver, seat 4. It's a weird one. My first 2 opening hands were like lands and dudes. And it was... They're playable hands, right? Like, long story short, they were playable hands, but they didn't do anything, right? Like, I had land untappers and then like a counter. And I'm like, well, there's a Kutzel. Do I counter what Kutzel has? That seems kind of dumb. Like, I just counter the Kutzel. Kutzel's going to pressure the table, probably pressuring me. But I'm seat 4, which means I'm last in turn order. I know Malcolm is going to try to go for it before me in this scenario. So I kept thinking about, like, how should I mulligan? So I was just like, okay.
What are you looking, like, in your head in this moment? What are you looking for? Are you looking for proactive stuff? Like,
I was looking for a freed.
You were looking for the win.
I was looking to just win.
Yeah.
And I was looking to just win with least amount of cards. And the reason I want least amount of cards is because I want to make it a point to where I'm not the one that's like, oh yeah, I'm going to counter this. I'm going to be like, guys, I mull to like 4 or 5. Like, I can't deal with this. So I'm kind of like making everybody else responsible for everything else, excluding me. But what was interesting about it is I ended up getting punished, right? Because mull my first one, which was playable, but I didn't like it. Mull my second one, which was playable, didn't like it. Looked at my 5, really thought about my 5. I was like, okay. Or I'm sorry, my 6.
Your
and
6.
I was like, I'm like, okay, I could keep this. So the reason I don't keep my 6, it was forest and forest. And I was just like, if I don't get an island, I'm just dead to rights shipping it. And then I looked at my 5, and my 5 was like forest island, but like everything in my hand was like 3-drop land untapper, 3-drop draw spell, 3-drop, 4-drop deep analysis. I was like, I can't keep this either. If I keep this, the first game action I'm taking is turn 3 if I see lands off the top. I was like, this is bad. Shipped it. My opening for the 4 was like 1 land, bad. So I was like, crap.
What else did you have? Just like unplayable stuff, like 2.
All unplayable. It was 1 land. Didn't matter what the land was. Everything was like CMC like 3 up, and I was like, unplayable. Yeah, it's just unplayable. Insta ship. So I was like, well, I was trying to go to 4. Now I'm just screwed. So I get my 3, and my 3 was nuts. If my 3 was like the opener, bro, I get there. Like my 3 had Galvanic Alchemist was in that hand. I had like a land aura. My hand was nuts. Like the hand was nuts. And I was just like, man. Yeah, but it was a 3. So I ended up keeping land, Lorien revealed.
Yeah, so funny enough, Gator was actually, when he was working on Weavers, he was like, man, I need like a really big draw spell. I don't know what to put in. I was like, just put in Lorien revealed, bro. I don't know why it's not in the deck. He was like, yeah, but I don't really play the other lands. I don't really have Mystic Sanctuary. I just need like a really big draw spell. I'm like, it says draw 3 for 5. Worst comes to worst, you pitch it and grab Rimewood Falls. I'm pretty sure it seems play in every format it's legal in.
Is that good? I mean, Brainstorm and Lorien Revealed is wild.
It was one of those hands. It was just like land, Lorien Revealed. The deck didn't punish me. The deck off the top fed me lands. It was like first draw was a land. Second draw was tapped land. And I was like, yes. And it was the dual land. So I just instantly put that into play. I was like pumped. I'm like, oh, the deck is loving me. I have the lands. I'm just going to curve out the Weaver now. And the reason I keep that was like, if I get to play the Weaver, no one's killing my Weaver. Like, why would they kill the Weaver? I'm the dude that multi 3. Like, if I lose to Malcolm Breaches, I lose to Malcolm Breaches, right? They killed us on turn 4 or 5. Like, what am I going to do on C4?
If they got it, they got it. You're dead.
Exactly.
Commentary, they were saying, oh, man, how could we just leave him alone? How could they just leave him alone with Weaver? I'm just like, he multi 3. Why would you kill it? There's a Cutzel, there's a Malcolm, there's a whole bunch of scarier stuff.
There was scary stuff. Obviously, I know my deck is terrifying as well. The chances of me seeing the Freed aren't high, right? But I drew it. So it was one of those scenarios that I was like, ha ha ha, I got it. But like, it really did fall into place, right? Because like 4 things went right throughout that game to lead me to be able to do what I did, right? Like, the Echoing Truth was just like, oh, you don't have that for me now. Because the Freed was like my third draw. Like, that was like the third card I drew for the game. So, like, at one point, my hand was like lands and a Freed. Or it was land, Freed, Lauren revealed. Like, that was my hand at a point in the game. And I was just like,
that's a great hand.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna slam this freaking Weaver, and I'm gonna just cast Lauren revealed, and let's see what happens. And I drew protection spells, which is, the deck is a pile of redundancy. Like, it's all the deck is. So I drew protection spells, and I was like, oh yeah, like, we are feeling great. And I ended up carving out and winning the game. But I there were a lot of things that went right. The Cutzel player ends up throwing a generous gift at the Malcolm player prior to Malcolm's turn. And realistically, the only reason I even go for a win attempt there, because I had Market Festival and I had a Corrosive Restore in my hand. So I was going to, on my turn, just go untapper, enchantment, untapper, pass. And feel great about myself, right? On a multi 3, like, what more can you ask for? Like, that's insane.
You got back in the game.
Yeah, I'm right back in the game. Lauren revealed literally fixed every issue I had.
That was my big question. So they tapped out just so they could replay Malcolm? Is that what happened?
No, they tapped out to play Gutter Snipe, Unruly Catapult.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason that happened was because Malcolm was the target of the pod from the beginning. Because I mulled a 3, Malcolm kept a 7, and they're like, "You're Malcolm, you're on a 7. Like, we're going to try to keep you in check. That guy over there, don't worry about that guy." Cutzel was also hitting me, obviously, right, to draw the cards and things like that. It was interesting, right, because the dynamic was, I don't want you to take the initiative, and that's why the generous gift hit the Malcolm. And I was just like, you tap out, you have 1 lane open, like, what could you even have? You have 1 lane open, and you are tapped out. And like, the player I'm most afraid of at that pod was the Malcolm player, and the Malcolm player decided to tap out.
Oh yeah, what did the Whistle Rail player play on that turn where they tapped out?
I don't remember the name of the creature. It's a creature that ventures into the dungeon.
From playing that deck and the play patterns that it has, it commits to a lot of mana on its turn. Every turn. And it has to. And if it doesn't, it falls behind. And its primary way of winning is still combat, even though it has a combo in there. The combo's a backup. Yeah. So if it doesn't regularly pump out threats in some way, shape, or form, it loses. That deck is surprisingly greedy. A tip for facing off a Rilsa deck is understand that it is actually way greedier than you expect it to be. Because I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's a control deck." Not really.
Yeah, no,
Not really.
I usually see it as like a weird like Demir weenie deck.
I think a lot of people see Demir as like just having a lot of like counter spells and kill spells, though. It's really just like a resource gathering deck.
So jumping back over to it, it was weird, right? So like a bunch of things ended up going right. So like it gets to my turn, and I was just like, if they have a stuff out, they have a stave off. Because I was afraid of a stave off and a snuff out, but I was like, I have 2 means of protection. Does this Malcolm player play Snapback or Thunderclap? That's what I was like. I was like, okay. I'm gonna go for it. I'm going for it. I'm going for it.
And for the Malcolm Breaches players out there, play both of those spells.
Yeah.
They're insane. They're free. Play them.
They are very, very good. I was just at the point where I'm like, I have to. Like, I got to do it. The Kutzel player at this point, there was a quick moment of table talk, and the Kutzel player is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take out the SIMIC player and the Malcolm player." I was like, "Oh crap!" I was like, "Thanks for letting me know. Like, I'm definitively going for it now. Like, we're all in." I understand why they were gonna go at me, right? I'm still the SIMIC player, right? So it's like, get them off the table. I go for it, and they did have a Vines. I wasn't expecting Vines, which is kind of weird. I was expecting Stave Off. But honestly, Stave Off and Vines are the same.
Vines gets the job done.
Yeah. So they're both the same thing. So I was just like, I was expecting a Snuff Out and a Thunderclap, not a Vines, right? I was like, there's no way. Like, you just blew a generous gift. You trying to have like a Stave Off doesn't make sense to me. But you two, I'm worried about you both. But that didn't happen from here. And then I got hit with the Vines from here, which was ironically best case scenario because I only had 2 protection spells and I only saw 1 piece of interaction. So I was like, okay, we get there. And we get there, and it's crazy because Weavers is just a consistent pile of Simic cards. It's ridiculous. Like, here's my hot take again. I actually said this over with Clay with cpdh.guide. Gretchen is better. I do believe Gretchen is better. Lay Weaver and Freed are literally a combo together. And I think people actually forget that. Like, you don't need auras. It's just the Freed and the Weaver. Alone.
It is the only 1-card combo in the format.
Yeah.
People don't expect it. And you know what? I agree that I think Gretchen in a vacuum is the better deck. But I think in a tournament, especially a tournament with not a lot of rounds, I think I actually very slightly favor Laylor.
Yeah, because all you really need to do is just find a Freed in your set and have the protection for it. Yeah, I was going to say, like, funny enough, even though you did discuss it with Clay earlier, I think that's why you picked up the deck, because even though it came from, like, a dirty background from at the start of the year with the cheater, we were just like, if they're winning consistently on like, turn 4 with Weavers, can we replicate this without cheating?
The deck was good without the whole cheating factor. It was already
good before then.
I think Weavers is good. There's my not hot take, right?
I think the deck was fine, but I think it got a lot of good cards in the past year.
Yeah, like the lore revealed, like a few of the cards that I think actually put the deck over the top to actually put it where it is now, just from my playtesting and stuff, are cards like the draw spells, like lore revealed specifically, like the card's nuts
big draw
in the
spells.
List. Right.
Oh yeah,
like we did get a few more auras, and we did get a few more land and tappers. Ironically, a lot of people think that because the Weaver's in the zone, more land and tappers in the deck doesn't make sense. That is wrong. You play all of them, and the reason you play them all is because the more mana you have, the more cards you draw, the more things you do, the better the deck is. And it just invalidates so many cards in the format, from mana leaks to like lose focus, which are all typically good cards, right? Like cards you get got by, right? Not with this deck, right? Because you're like, I have 22 mana.
I think people weren't building the deck that way 2 years ago. You know, they were getting that tunnel vision on like how they were actually like trying to go about building it, and I think a few players changed that. I mean, including the He Who Shall Not Be Named on Sanctuary. Changed like the paradigm of how the deck is built, and like that plus the new cards really makes that deck like I think a top tier deck.
You make it this far in the video. This upcoming video, as soon as we're done with this one, you guys, we're actually moving into the tier list. We're going back to the tier list. We're revisiting it. We're re-putting everything that we've gotten from the tournaments. We got all the data already sorted out. We're ready to go, and we will hopefully. Not going to spoil any names, but I think we're going to have a guest or two with us with that video in the tier list. 2-part episode, guys. 2-part episode. It's going to be a big episode because we have a lot of decks to talk about, and we definitely want to discuss them thoroughly, right? We got to say why Malcolm Breach is just the worst deck in format because Rohan plays it right, like things like that. So not really. But they sounded serious though, right? So no, I love my Malcolm Breaches, right? I love the Breaches players for real though. Good deck. But with that said, the end is I win the event. We all have a great conversation after. All the players at the finals were awesome. We all had a great conversation. And shout out to all of them.
This is the first time I've played I played in a lot of Magic events, and this is only my second PDH tournament ever. But I've never played in any Magic event where I played with so many friends in one place. I knew from the player list from the beginning, I'm like, oh my god, I know like everybody here. Which is both like terrifying because I know that they're all like it's like the best of the best. Like these are like the best players in the format. But it was like insanely fun because of that. Like I knew multiple people, and if not everyone, a single person in my pods, and that was dope.
Yeah, that's like the perfect advertisement to why players should go play in the local scene and why you should play at events because it's super fun. Yeah, you go hang out with your friends and sometimes you make some money off of it.
Don't disagree. But with that said, I think this is where we wrap it up, you guys. So
yep, Franklin, want to take us out?
Yep. So with that, thank you everyone over here at Common Theory. Thanks to all of the patrons who help support the channel. If you're not subscribed over on YouTube, already this far in the video, all 61% of you who aren't subscribed, just hit the button so you get notified when we go live every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Gator, one final question for you. Oh. What 4/1 mana skeleton token are you asking Bobby to make?
Not that one. No, I haven't decided yet. Don't know yet. All right,
we tried. All right, everyone. Take care.